Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hypecast mit Tom Reimann und David Bell.
Get down with the sickness. That's what he says, right? He says,
He goes, ooh, and then, then there's,
and then he tells you to get up, but then get down.
Get down. Is it because of the sickness that you're down?
I think you're down. So, okay. So, like, I'm hip to, like, I like the sickness.
I'm hip to sickness.
Or I'm down, afflicted with the sickness.
Yeah, which is it?
I don't know. That's like, welcome to Hypecast, everybody. Show where we get hyped about stuff and things. I'm your host, David Bell. Abe Epperson, you're here.
Hi, thanks, Dave.
Sorry. It's like, don't speak. When she says, don't tell me because it hurts.
Yeah.
So I was like, does it hurt her? Does she not want to be told something only because it hurts him? Like, I'm only telling you because I'm hurt? Or does she want
does it hurt you?
Not literally tell her the words because it hurts? Like, who can fucking say? There's like so many things she could be conveying there.
Yeah, it's almost like, and we'll never know. We'll never be able to force them in a room.
No.
Gwen Stefani and the corn guy.
Is
and
it
be
corn?
Like,
did
is
they
it
do
corn?
The sickness?
Who did the sickness? I don't know. I'm my memory of that era is shoddy. But the point is,
I thought it was like
the author.
I don't know.
It's probably someone else. It's probably whatever. Someone's probably yelling at the screen right now because they're like, how do you not know this?
Right.
Just remember that people have different lives. But
it's like some. I think it's like a band name like Oven Roof or something like that. Some bullshit.
Oven Roof. It's so you get the Oven Roof guy and you get Gwen Stefani and you put him in a room and you're like, hey, tell me what you mean with these. We can't do that.
We can't do that.
According to the law, we can't do that. Or cops come to your house.
Or cops, exactly. Abe, welcome to the show.
Hey,
you wanna plug some stuff?
Sure.
Yeah.
If you like the cut of my jib by the end of this, or even right now, you go to patreon.com/smallbeans. That's about it. We talk about the same kind of stuff that Gamefully does here.
Oven Roof, and
you probably know me by now. I don't think there's any. I think the Venn diagram that exists between our two networks already exists. I doubt anyone's
together.
I doubt anyone's being like, "Who the fuck is this turkey?"
Right? No, yeah, but it's customary. Everybody check them out. It's good stuff. I mean, we share podcasts.
Yeah.
It's it would be hard to not know Small Beans and know Gamefully Unemployed. Like, not impossible. But I don't know how you wouldn't be aware of it.
Like, I want to know who you are and what your what your deal is. Like,
if you're
if this describes you, send me your deal.
Yeah, if right now you're like, who is this? Who is this guy, Abe? I wanna know about that. And don't lie. Don't fucking lie. We can tell.
Be a comedian.
Yeah, no jokesters. We can get right into this, right?
Yeah, let's get into
we have
it.
movies. Let's thank some producers.
Okay.
Big old thank you to @NerdNumbers. Thank you very much. Thank you to Zero Charisma. Thank you to 2001: A Space Nulty Odyssey. Thank you to A Turd Curdling Jump Scare. Thank you to Andrew Burser. Thank you to AJ. Thank you to Andrew. Abe deserves more hype, McGuire. And thank you to Andrew. How demands a single act of kindness.
Let's thank Asking Seven.
Thank you.
Let's thank Ballet Karate Hulk.
Thank you.
Let's see here. Let's thank BLT22EWHVIS-B exclamation point.
Thank you.
Let's not forget Bootler Boodleson.
Thank you.
And Brian, who Tom knows.
Yes.
Let's thank Brockway Loves the Meat Millie.
Thank you.
Let us thank Burrito Says, Water, Gym, Sunscreen, Kung Fu, Ska, Self-Care.
Thank you.
And finally, let's thank by Jason Pargin's highly controversial new book. I'm starting to worry about this Black Box of Doom out now.
True that. All right. We got trailers. This is a weird ass week. There's no like big one, but there's a lot I'm excited about.
A lot of weird ones.
Yeah. That said, I'm not excited about this first one, but I'm not mad at it either. I have nothing. I feel nothing for the trailer for Better Man. It is a biopic of Robbie Williams, who is apparently a human, where he's a monkey. So I guess not a human. Sorry. He's a monkey, famous monkey, Robbie Williams. It's done. He's a mocap monkey, but a biopic. It's like the Pharrell Williams fucking Lego biopic.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we've gotten bored with biopics, and now we're like, I don't know, can we just make him a monkey or something?
Mm-hmm.
And they did.
And that, yeah. And I'll reserve judgment for when it comes out and how they use it. Obviously, I think they're going to go the dance monkey dance route, you know? Like, pop star, do your dance, you know, which is, I don't know. I guess it's a fresh execution, but not necessarily a fresh take for, you know, biopics about celebrities. So I see a little bit of lack of an imagination there. I mean, this and the Lego one at this point are gimmicks, you know? Like that, if that gimmick didn't exist, I don't know if these movies would exist because they're not Rocket Man or Elvis or the new Bob Dylan or Pharrell Williams and Robbie Williams of Millennium fame.
What is Robbie Williams?
I think he's much bigger in the UK.
Okay, because this trailer was the first time I heard of him.
He definitely existed.
Okay, I believe you.
Like he was popular at a time, even in America.
I have a cynical yet optimistic take. Mm-hmm. I would argue most biopics are gimmicks. That's just how I feel about them in general. Because like, just because you're famous doesn't mean you had a life that was worthy of telling a story in a movie. So like, I think biopics are boring. And unless you are, like if you're a singer or rock star, I guess the thing is like, if you're George Washington, or Lincoln, it's like, they're known for doing something. So telling a story about that makes sense, right?
Indicative of a time, usually. Like they are not like a metaphor, but like what they lived and did was indicative. Like Lincoln's biopic can't be separated from the Emancipation Proclamation, you know, and like where America was. I don't know if Robbie
doing something
Williams,
unique. Whereas all these like singer biopics, they've all done the same thing.
It's like, usually I did drugs or I didn't do drugs, and that's the type you're in.
I had a good childhood or a bad childhood, and then I went on to become famous for singing.
Right.
That's the story, unless something very unique happened. So that's all to say that if we're just going to churn out biopics for every fucking singer, make them a monkey, I guess. Like,
I guess you're right about that. Yeah. I think they should make one Jesus.
Ooh, as a monkey?
No. Make Robbie Williams Jesus.
Like Jesus Christ, and that's it. Like mocap
or the
him
devil
as Jesus Christ.
Yeah, let's get real controversial in here.
I mean, fuck it. I think of like when Prince made movies, and like Prince sort of also knew. He was like, "Listen, I'm not just going to make a movie about my life. I'm going to just be in these movies that are out of their minds." Like I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Especially if the actor's going to be in the movie, or the singer or star, like just make it fucking weird then. Like, I don't know. You know, like I do stuff like, I don't know, what is that movie? Velvet Goldmine, which is like not really about a band but also sort of is,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
like stuff like that where it's like to find a different interesting way to talk about music
Mm-hmm.
than just here's one of the people who made the
Here's
music.
what I did.
Like fucking
I mean, maybe they're really interesting. I just didn't know that either of these Williams were
Right.
the Lego. I don't understand the Lego one at all. Like this one, I am
I
reserving
understand that.
judgment. Like I honestly think the Lego one is just like, what are movies these days? There's Legos. There's Lego movies.
I think Lego might have put out feelers or somebody where it's like we want to make this idea.
Yeah.
Who will do it? I think it's funny because you're right. In this one, he's like, I feel like a trained monkey, and then I like in that one, he's like, I'm like a Lego guy.
Yeah,
like,
it makes no sense.
It makes sense in the sense that we haven't seen either movie,
right?
but it feels like more of a joyful message, which is just like, I want to have fun.
Yeah,
like, I sort of get that,
but that's tough. That's a tough movie to make.
You know what I wish? I wish all musicians were forced to have their own narrative, like the band Gwar, and when they made a movie like Gwar did,
like
it had
lore?
to be. Yeah, like that lore. I want them all to have elaborate lores instead of this. I don't care. I just
No, it's more interesting. You're absolutely right there.
Yeah, Gwar has movies, and it's about how they're from outer space, and that's more interesting than we're a bunch of like art students who started a band.
I mean, let's call it what it is. They're just fan servicey for the fans. There's definitely going to be a Taylor Swift one, but it's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy to me that all of the ones that are done now, really, that are just like musical, like you're just I'm not talking about Lincoln. I'm talking about the Amy Winehouse one and stuff like that. Like,
right?
It feels like Walk Hard and Pop Star.
Yeah,
those satires of the genre like almost killed the genre. Like people who make their bread and butter off of biopics, specifically the musician biopics, were like sweating it for a while.
Oh yeah, it reminds me of the South Park where they pointed out like how Family Guy constructs a joke, and then you're like, yep, that's every joke.
Oh God, like
I guess
Family Guy is like, no, don't leave.
Right, it's and these like because there's two types of biopics, right? With music, it's they're dead or they're not, like Bob Dylan or Amy Winehouse. But then this one is like, we're working like it's them telling their own story, and these feel almost worse because it's like you might as well like they're probably like album tie-ins. That's what they feel like. They feel like they are like a bonus feature on an album more than like a realized movie. It just feels like it's the artist advertising themselves.
That's right.
Yeah,
Bob Dylan isn't dead, by the way.
He's pretty dead.
No, he's 80.
You know what I mean? I mean like where like he doesn't play himself in that, right?
Well, yeah, but I guess I know what you mean, but I think it's because these are huge stars. These are generational talents. That's a little different.
Coen Brothers,
Elvis and
the better
Elton
Bob
John.
Dylan film. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's I bet they were pissed when they were like, we can't do that. Inside Llewellyn Davis did that.
That was such a better Bob Dylan movie.
Yeah, it should have just been Bob Dylan, just like ooh.
I mean,
walking around.
it would have been amazing.
Yeah, just like going on the fair.
Yeah,
going to the fair.
If you want to explore a specific band or something, I just think it's there's more value to doing like a movie about the era or the movement, as opposed to a specific person, unless they did something fucking wild. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, the Better Man. I hope they go even more hardcore toward like, because you'll create weird films that, like, I don't know why they exist. Like UHF back in the day. Like, let's make some narratives and stuff like that, but let's put some, either musical talent in it or have a representative of the musical talent. And you're just like, why is this movie like Bubba Hotep would be an excellent Elvis biopic.
Yeah, exactly.
I know it's not that, but it could have been.
But it could have been. Like, fuck it.
Fuck it. So that's what Better Man's doing here is they're like, what if it's Monkey? Which is good, but like keep going.
Keep going. this isn't going to be as wild as I think I would want it to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope that there's other monkeys in this movie, like there's monkey businessmen.
Right. This is the director of Greatest Showman, another movie I haven't seen.
But
like that movie felt grotesque considering what it was about or who it was about as a biopic. Like,
yes, it's that's the Barnum one that kind of took the exploitation out and replaced it with like, you saved us, all of us circus folk.
Right, you brought back
thankful.
wonder and magic.
Because he like cries and they sing because it's a musical.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't understand. I think it's more like spectacle is the reason. It's like it doesn't matter. It's skinnable. It's Moulin Rouge a little bit. Like he's going hard for the Baz Luhrmann magical imagery.
Right.
Which we got to have somebody because if someone's not
Baz's
feeling that niche, like what are we doing with artistic endeavors at all?
Very true. Do you want to talk about this next one?
Yes, please.
Elevation from the director of The Adjustment Bureau. Remember that movie? Remember the Adjustment Bureau?
Yeah, that's the Matt Damon, Emily Blunt one.
I'm
right?
not even. Yeah, I'm not even.
Where you
making
put
fun
on
of that
hats?
Movie. You put on hats. It's like
And you can go through doors.
I don't remember it being bad or anything. It's the Dark City. It's just another Dark City. A bunch of guys in hats like change lives.
It's like, what if heaven and God and fate were an organization and like you were I think if you were an anomaly and they're trying to take you out and put you on the right path, kind of like the MCU universe with that, agency, the TVA. And they're like, you got to do this. And he's like, no, man, I don't want to because I want to fall in love with Emily Blunt.
Trying to adjust him. Yeah. But this is Anthony Mackie in his second film about a post-apocalypse where you have to keep over a certain elevation. That was literally the plot of I.O. What do you think, man? I'm just so sick of these.
My only question is if Anthony Mackie just needs to fly around to survive, why doesn't he just use those wings he's got?
That's true. Just fly around.
I don't know,
man.
I don't need more of these Bird Box quiet place ass.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. People watch them and it makes money, and I guess that's the point here. But like, if anything needs to be formulaic, like it's the money makers. That's the point, right?
Yes, I think this is an equation. I think it's like the torture horror or like any other genre that comes and goes, like slasher, where they looked at a spreadsheet and they went, okay, pick an arbitrary rule and just reach into this bowl and pick out a picture of a generic monster.
Yeah.
We have a list of generic monster designs that we just have that we haven't used. These are just like digital assets that we have. Oh, you picked the one that looks kind of like a rhino. Okay. Oh, you picked another Cloverfield one. Okay. Yeah. Now grab that, pick an arbitrary rule. Oh, okay. They have to hold onto a rope. Oh, okay. They have to fucking stay over an elevation. All right. Yeah. Now let's make it post-apocalyptic, so make it mostly take place in the woods. We can shoot this under this many $1 million and we will make this many back. I'm not saying that's how these are made. It just feels that way at this point.
I wouldn't be angry at these. Like, okay, so there's a pitch room, hypothetically, that, we're talking about, that they're thinking of these rules. Like, they're sitting down and they're like, what are rules? What are possible rules we could do? I would love these types of movies if it weren't that the rules fucking suck. They're like the lowest hanging fruit. I want to hear all the rules that they're like, no, we can't do that. Like that's to me. What if the rule was you have to like have water in your mouth?
Right.
Or you have to have a thumb in your mouth.
You have to have a shit in your pants or something.
Yeah. Let's go on those ones.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
This one at least makes sense in the way where I know how they're going to explain it, right? Where they're like, oh, their inner ear of the monsters or whatever. Like, it's like, oh, their brains can't go over this elevation because of like pressure.
Did they come from space? Or
I mean, probably. It's another case of like a ghoul monster that for some reason our U.S. military couldn't handle. That's like, because you see it in this trailer and it's not a Cloverfield monster, but it looks kind of like a dinosaur.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a big tail and it's like E.T. colored.
It's another case of like, I feel like a gun
got
would
ET
handle this,
skin.
or like a
I
missile.
feel like an assault rifle, and 50 to 60 feet, you're winning that.
Yeah. So it's like, how did we fuck this up so badly?
A lot of them, maybe. I don't know. There will be answers if you watch Elevation, but that's this. When it comes down to it, I think we're stumbling on something that I think is unique, which is with your the reason these do well is because there's always a high concept, but like we need to answer these questions. Like, what are the specifics that made this combination of events happen? How would that be possible? That's really what these movies feed. They feed because like it's not necessarily like, oh, Sandra Bullock's doesn't have eyes. That's crazy. I need to see that movie. We need to understand why that would be the answer. You know what I mean?
Right. But the funny thing is, these movies tend to not actually explain that.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's wild about these movies. This is why, like, listen, writing is hard. It's a job. A lot of these writers are doing their best. But, like, these scripts, to me, feel like some of the laziest directions to go, specifically because, like, people like J.J. Abrams paved this way to the idea of a mystery box where it's like, oh, you don't actually have to explain anything.
Yeah.
And so, like, you look at Bird Box and you're like, they don't even explain why this is the case. There's no clever explanation for, like, what are these things? It's like, ooh, that's part of the appeal is you don't know.
Because
and
it's like so ubiquitous at this point.
Well, because I think it's preying on a very good habit of audiences, which is the realization that we don't have to know every little detail of a story, and that sometimes things are scarier when you don't know about them. But this is sort of like abusing that by being like I feel like these are movies where the writers never said to themselves, well, what is happening? You know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to say that, like, even when you're not telling the audience.
It's because they got this cheat sheet of things, like scenes that have to happen, right?
Yeah. That's what it feels like. They start with an arbitrary rule, and then maybe they go like, well, why? And they're like, well, we can't think of a reason, so let's just not explain it. And then that's that.
And that's a good impulse, but it's weaponized not weaponized in a way that makes it so that these movies are, just like, it's utilizing the hack. It's not trying to make fun stories. And that's the kind of J.J. Abrams spirit of the mystery box that persists. I wish people weren't taking advantage of it because it's so ubiquitous that I think that there's a lot of moviegoers out there who are just kind of casual, who are like, oh, that's just how horror movies go.
Yeah.
It's almost like in the 70s when there were slashers. I think for a time people forgot, surprise isn't... You don't just need to surprise us with like a sudden jump scare. You can also do stuff like Hitchcock did, which was like very intentionally scary when you watch that sequence. And then like we brought it back because we got tired because everything moves in trends and everything that's the way the world works. But like there's a lot of people I think who, even though horror is in like a golden age right now, I would argue has been for the last 10 years at least.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people not watching the really good ones because we also get schlock,
Right. It's also very hard to tell the difference. For example, there are movies in this specific genre that are good or at least aren't bad. Like I really liked Arcadian. That was a Nicolas Cage one that was an arbitrary rule. But what made that movie good was, one, they did enough plot twists where you're like, oh, I genuinely did not think that was going to happen. I mean, they did. No, I shouldn't say a lot. It's not huge, but also the creature designing that was genuinely cool and unique. Where it's like, if it doesn't feel like cookie cutter, but the problem is when you go and watch that trailer, it looks like every other one of these.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that new Halle Berry one has a director who is talented and might be good. Never Let Go or whatever. But I didn't watch it. Because it looked like all these.
Muted,
and it's just like
grays and blues.
in the woods and arbitrary rules. And it's like, I'm just sick of this subgenre of generic monster plus
they're
arbitrary
always in the
rule.
fucking woods, man.
Because it's cheap.
It's cheap and it's scary. And that's good. That's smart. It's smart.
Yeah. So it's just like, fuck, man. I'm just... you know,
You're just tired.
I just can't be
You're
jazzed
tired.
up for these.
You're at your wit's end.
Right, like if
At any
someone,
time, Dave's gonna go, man. He's gonna pop.
It's that thing where it's like if someone, there's probably writers out there who have really good premises for this idea, and it's just like, what's the point in writing it? It's just going to just limp out on fucking streaming, and and people are gonna gloss right over it probably. Do you want to talk about Cells at Work?
Yeah, dude. It's an Osmosis Jones, baby.
It is. It's live action Osmosis Jones.
It's a Japanese Osmosis Jones.
It's based off of a manga, and it's like, or like an Inside Out, where it's the idea of it's all these people, colorful environment. It kind of has that like heightened like Kung Fu Hustle cartoon reality world, where everybody is like a cell in somebody's body, and we're seeing
there's an
like
immune cell and a red cell. I think they fall in love.
Yep. And we're seeing like other people, like we're seeing the people whose bodies it is go through life, and then all the cells. I think one of them gets cancer. Did I see that? It's like someone's going to get a disease.
I think someone got a disease.
Because obviously when you're telling the stories of cells in the body, is the most dramatic things you could have happen is some sort of internal war. And that would be a disease of some kind.
I mean, they did the Bill Murray, where they cut out to the real world.
Yeah.
And it's like, I hope this movie is 80% of the fart jokes, you know?
There's a guy shits himself.
He shits himself, and, you know, because we assume inside his body, it's plot relevant.
Yeah.
I want this movie to be so many fart jokes and poop jokes, and the director of this is self-acclaimed hit maker, which I love.
Yeah,
I think more directors should have the arrogance of, you know, a god. It's great.
I'm gonna watch the shit out of this. It's so stupid. It's just, I think of like, I'm wondering, are they dictating the body, or is the body dictating them?
That's the question.
Yeah, because it seems like there's moments where they're like, someone has to like a guy has to become a scab, and like they all line up. Like there's moments like that where they're like, we have to do this thing, but obviously whether or not they're good at it dictates what happens to the body.
Well, if it's anything like Osmosis Jones, at the end we're gonna learn it's a two-way street, and we're all in this together. Yeah,
I mean, that is like, you can do a philosophical question, right? Which is like, do we do what we do for nature and society, or are we truly individuals or part of a horde, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Futurama had that episode with the parasites. It's very similar.
Oh, yeah.
We've done, you know, and we've kind of done Inner Space, but Inner Space doesn't have like personality, or there's no personification of the inside the body. But we've done this story so many times that I'm glad that this one is so bombastic and almost like the production design is insane. The world, it feels like Lego Movie. It feels like really endowed with magical nonsense. I actually really like the Inside Out method. Like, I want to see one of these one day where it never really shows outside the body. Maybe, and just initially it's just like, oh, it's just a really sad little girl, and then we go into the body and it's like clearly going under the effects of chemo or something like that. Just something seriously heart-wrenching. Yeah. But definitely always keep the fart jokes. Never don't cut to the outside the body and they've pooped.
And a guy making a face and a poop sound. I love it. I love the swing they're taking here.
Yep. Fantastic. Hit maker.
Yep.
Cells at Work.
I looked up the director. I didn't recognize anything he did, but I guess
I think that's why it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
probably has done some stuff in Japan.
I'm sure he's more famous in the country, but like this is.
I just love, like, I want the first movie that I'm, you know, like, I'm gonna put on Papa Bear. I'm gonna put from like from the twisted mind of Abe Epperson.
Yes. Acclaimed director, Twisted Mind, Abe Epperson.
Kingmaker Abe Epperson.
Yep. President Abe Epperson.
God figure.
Fuck it. The Seed of the Sacred Fig is the name of this next trailer.
Yeah. I think you may not know what makes this fascinating, or to me at least.
I looked up what this is about, but I had to do that. Yeah, this is like indie. This is already gone out in festivals. It has very good reviews.
Right. It's almost like the politics around this movie, though, which it is a great trailer. It's very intense.
Yeah, so it's about, again, the trailer, you don't quite know this. It's about I believe a judge in Iran who is during like political unrest, who is extremely paranoid for like, there's fears of his assassination. And then I guess in his house, a gun goes missing and he actually suspects his own family of wanting to kill him. And he begins to put a bunch of like rules on his kids and his wife.
Yeah, and it's more of like what does paranoia do to the individual? Because there's like a scene where it's like he's talking with another person. He's like, you didn't tell him what your like real job is, though, right? Like what you actually do at your job. He's like, yeah, I did. They're my family. He's like, you shouldn't have done that. Like that is your first mistake. In other words, in order to live in this, according to the society that it paints, you should lie to everyone.
Right.
About
it sounds
most
like
things.
It's one of the, like maybe what he does is evil enough that his own family wouldn't like it or something like that.
For a split second in the first shot, I thought they had resurrected James Gandolfini.
Oh shit. That would have been a real treat.
Yeah, what makes this movie, like, I think why it did crazy at Cannes and why it's getting the hub, so to speak.
It's almost 3 hours long, too.
This was a movie that was made in secret. It was shot in secret in Iran.
Oh, shit.
So this filmmaker, Mohammad Rasulov, I believe is how you say it, I couldn't imagine. He, for the last few decades, has had to live in Europe because his films have ordered him, like, you go to jail for making anti-government films.
Right.
So he wasn't supposed to be in the country shooting this movie. I think he was actually getting sentenced for like his last film. And then
nuts.
they were like, you're going to get 8 years in prison and you're going to get whipped. And like, this is what's going to happen.
Sneaking into the country and making
movies.
And he
snuck out again.
And they're like, come on, stop it.
Yeah, exactly.
I want
That's
him
exactly
to just,
right.
Yeah, I want him to just flatly deny it. Like, I haven't made a movie. And we can watch the movie. It's right here. It has your name.
You do interviews on the carpet of the Cannes Film Festival and the Venice Film Festival.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That ain't me.
Yeah, that's wild. Loving movies so much that you're just like, fuck it, man. I'll go to jail.
Making movies. He's going to get sent to jail. So people are like, obviously like, wow, you really like movies. We got to give you an award. And that's
I'm glad the movie is apparently good, because what if it sucked? Or what if it was that last one, the Body Sells one with fart jokes? And he was like, I'm going to go to jail for this.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm fucking saying. What if he's a CGI monkey the whole time?
Yeah. But this looks, I don't know, this trailer is great because it almost feels like a horror movie.
Right.
It's treating a very horrific thing like what it is, like scary. It's making it scary. And I'm just like, I hope I get to catch this. It's, again, 3 hours and it's going to be a dark drama. So it's like, that's probably a big ask. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but
that's a crazy story.
Films are not that important that often. I'm not saying you have to watch this. It's just like, if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
This is one of the ones of the year that people have been talking about.
Right. It'd be weird to meet this guy and be like, I heard about that movie. That's nuts. I'll probably skip it, though, to be honest. It's a little long.
Is it going on streaming?
Congratulations to you, Like, that's crazy, man.
But, like, I want to have an icy and some popcorn.
Right. Can you just describe the movie to me, I guess? Like, make it, like,
Can
quick?
you tell me if it's like the Golden Compass at all?
Yeah. Scale of 1 to 10 compasses.
Yeah.
How many
Have you seen
compasses?
the Golden Compass, Muhammad? He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never seen the. It's like, it's kind of like, it gets confused a lot with Stardust. Anyway, tell me about your movie.
Oh, Speaking of movies,
Uh-huh.
this next movie is called Stockholm Bloodbath from the director of 1408. Remember that movie? You remember 1408?
Yeah, that's
You covered it.
Yeah, we did. It's a Stephen King one.
You guys were nicer to that movie than I was.
Swaim really liked it. I was
It's not
biting my
bad,
tongue a little
but
bit.
it's- well,
It's not bad,
it's
but I
fun.
was. It's a cool premise. On paper, it's fucking killer. I just think the movie's meh.
Yeah. This isn't like 1408. This is Crime Caper Guy Ritchie. We're doing a shoot 'em up. It's like that text you've seen a million times, that like yellow block text with
Yeah, it's
blood
Watchmen
spattering
font.
on it.
It's
Yeah.
literally the Watchmen font, or it's Beekeeper. It's like the Beekeeper font.
Yeah, and it's sort of promising this is going to be very bloody and
Irreverent.
it'll be very fun. Yeah.
We're gonna make a movie and tell you about it, and it's gonna be not like you expected.
It's
'cause that's
apparently
what
based off a real
Yellow font means.
massacre.
Yeah, it's like see, the tone of this movie seems completely random. In fact, I don't like this trailer a lot because like it's slightly quirky, like the footage of what we're seeing of these medieval knights, and like it seems played straight. Like sometimes they're like, we're unlikable, so we're laughing and we're saying horrible things, but more or less it's just like a straight medieval John Wick attempt.
Yeah.
With some like epic battles thrown into the mix too. But the musical choice and the font and like the things that are popping up on screen and like the kind of editorial tone that the rest of the trailer makes this seem like it's going the route of like A Knight's Tale, where it's like, this is going to be bonkers. Like we're going to take huge, swings at random shit. And it might not be perfect, but hey, we're trying. I don't think this movie is actually trying that hard. I think it's fairly formulaic. They just threw together a trailer that is like, makes it seem a little bit more Guy Ritchie than it is.
Right. So the secret to like Guy Ritchie and early Matthew Vaughn is like the promise being made is, hey, we're going to tell a crime caper and it's going to have these very wild twists and turns. It'll be like Tarantino-esque where it'll all like weave together. It'll have interesting violence, like fights and violence that look cool that you haven't seen, and it's going to be funny, right? That's sort of the promise of that.
Chaotic too. There's chaos in all of that.
Yeah, and there's other versions, Smoking Aces, Shoot 'Em Up, where the Crank, and the issue with that style is that if you don't nail it, it just comes off as like, and so like this trailer, at least, I'm not saying the movie, like I didn't see any action that made me go, wow. I didn't see any joke that made me go, oh, that's so funny. I didn't see anything that was fucked up in a way that made me go like, holy moly, that's crazy. It felt very much like a Hot Topic shirt that's like, look how edgy this shirt is, and you're like, yeah,
it's not
I heard
edgy.
that slogan 10 years ago. It's that. It's like they're saying to us, we're going to be one of those. It's going to be so bloody, but it's just not enough to offer blood. You know?
It's not. Yeah, I think this is the slow death of the four quadrant. Trying to like, is this rated R? I don't know.
It is.
Seems like it might. Okay, so if it is, then why didn't you go for it? Like, I don't know. I don't understand.
Or at least in the trailer, go for it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
go for it.
Yeah.
Maybe they couldn't because of plot reasons or something.
Yeah.
So, like things happen. Movies are all different. So trailers are all different. I'm just seeing what I'm seeing. The one thing I will give props to is that what I am seeing is like, it's clearly in a, like, I don't know, it's in a shorter stratosphere of budget, like you can tell there's telltale signs of, we don't have a big budget, like cast, the stages and the sets, how the exteriors look with CG and stuff like that. How often do we see those kind of things? Mm-hmm. And they kind of confidently put all that stuff up, even though they clearly don't have it all, because they're doing a really good job on a low budget to me. I mean, I wouldn't say this is like lowest budget. This is obviously tens of millions of dollars, but like even at that level with the stuff they're trying to pull off of like archers throwing like firing like blotting out the sun with their arrows and stuff like that. It actually it looks run of the mill, looks pretty basic, but like I'm just saying, our visual effects is getting pretty good that even on a smaller budget, we have the ability to make some pretty convincing stuff.
Oh, yeah. Just going on fucking TikToks where you're like, this is really good CGI in a TikTok that someone made. It's just like, it's
and then on top of that, like
now.
they have fight choreography that doesn't look half bad, you know, like, I don't know.
No, yeah. I mean, there's definitely like a lot of effort behind it. And again, I'm mostly just talking about the trailer itself, where it's like, it maybe like the movie might be great. It's just that the trailer didn't give me anything, you know. Like it reminds me of Argyle. Argyle was a movie that I know some people liked, but for me, I'm like, that's one of those movies that's like a non-movie to me, where I'm like, all right, it's PG-13, so they're not going for violence. The action is all CGI. Even like the hand-to-hand fighting is CGI. So it's like, okay, so there's no action. You know, like it's just look how good our cartoons are. It's not particularly funny. The plot was very predictable, and it was just like after you keep taking those away, I was just like, I don't know what the movie is offering, you know. Mm-hmm. And this is the same where it's it's all vibes, and it's like, yeah, if you like the vibes, then sure. They haven't given me that in this.
Agreed.
And it's a weird take on a historical thing, which I don't hate, but like that's what makes it feel even more Guy Ritchie, because didn't he just do that, like, I still haven't seen it, the Ungentlemanly Warfare? Like it feels like it's one of those where they're like, here's a real historical event.
What was it, his Robin Hood?
No, he didn't make a Robin Hood. He did make a King Arthur.
He made a King Arthur. And it was like, oh, this is not your grandpa's King Arthur.
Yeah, which has been literally every King Arthur movie. Tell us
take that
it's
back,
not going to be that.
No, you're right.
Like
you're
every King Arthur movie is like, this isn't your regular King Arthur. And it's like,
this one's fucks.
Just once I want one that's like, this is your grandfather's King Arthur.
Yeah, it's T.H. White. They bring out his old dead bones.
Yeah, fuck it. Oh yeah,
the Shadow Strays.
The Shadow Strays, baby. The trailer looked fine, but it's what's his name? Timo. Yeah.
Yeah. Who that, Dave?
Or rather, Timo Tianto. Do you know? He's known for some of the craziest fucking VHS segments.
Yeah.
The cult one.
The cult one in the compound. That one's great.
VHS 2. The robots. The robot.
Yeah.
Compound people.
Underground. Yeah, like the basement robots.
Yeah, he's made a few movies as well, I'm pretty sure. Let me see. He made The Night Comes for Us. He's just like such a gnarly, amazing director. And like this trailer looked pretty good. It's like a Netflix movie, it looks like.
It's the most generic story ever, but like only because of what you said, I have a little bit more excitement about it, because the visuals from this team are usually pretty like accosting. They're very loud and like, oh, that's awesome, I've never seen that before. But this is basically an assassin needs to kill our organization and mentor why to save a boy. I've seen that.
Yeah, this is the polar opposite of the last trailer, where like this trailer doesn't feel like it's working too hard. You're right. The actual premise is like, oh, that looks fine.
Right.
And then the moment his name came on screen, I was like,
you're like, oh, well,
obviously. Like,
so
he has earned that. He has earned the right to say, hey, I'm making this movie, and that's going to make it look out of its mind.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I believe you, you know?
At this point, it's all in Netflix's hand, because Netflix is capable of one or two things for these types of projects. This is a small enough project, doesn't do a dent in our budget enough that we can take. We understand what makes this director good. we're going to give him money to have a little playground. It's either that or it's we just know he's a name that is a commodity that we can benefit from a little bit, so we're going to give him a little bit of money, but he has to do all the shit that we say because we are in this. This is actually a really interesting film. I think that's in like depending on what this film is, very indicative of where streaming is right now, because we had this scenario with Marvel and the failing, crippling empire of Marvel where it was clearly they could control any director, any actor they wanted because they had so much influence and so much control and money over any situation. They could basically just pay anyone out or choose anyone else who was like, please give me a job. And then the walls start crumbling. And this has happened to Netflix as well, who also had, it had a golden era of its own where it was trying things and it just had so much money it could do, we'll do the 4 quadrant thing, but we'll also do like, fuck this, let's do this movie. Is Netflix really scared right now, or they understand what risks are needed in order to make a mark in the dying dying battleground that is this industry right now?
Yeah,
Netflix, it's like your move. And this movie, it's these types of movies that will really, because this could be awesome and does bonkers and is like a John Wick kind of thing.
I genuinely, and I've heard stories about Netflix behind the scenes. It really feels like, I don't know if it's like it's like they don't want to succeed anymore. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Because they'll take a movie, they'll pick up a movie like. That's the worst part of this trailer, is seeing the Netflix logo and being like, fuck, this is going to be buried. It's going to be buried on day one. Like, they have this weird habit of taking, buying a movie or producing a movie and then not advertising it on their page. Or, they're currently in they're in, the Arrested Development roofie circle with TV shows. Mm-hmm. You remember the roofie circle?
Yeah.
Where he takes the forget-me-nots and then forgets he takes the forget-me-nots and keeps taking them. Netflix keeps that show Chaos got canceled before anybody could watch it.
Yeah.
And nobody's watching it because Netflix cancels everything.
It's because it didn't do bonkers on day one like Stranger Things, so it's a fail.
And people are talking about the fact that when you make something like that, especially something geared towards adults, and it's all comes out at once, people don't binge watch immediately. People are adults. They have shit to do. They have to it takes a while to pick up a show, right? You look at a show and you hear about it and you're like, oh, that's great. I'll get around to that next time I have some time off.
Right.
And then they're like, oh, everybody hates it. Or let's immediately fucking cancel it. And then that happens enough.
Well, why watch that at all?
Right.
Why watch new shows at all? Just watch the old good ones.
I started watching The Acolyte, and I was 2 episodes in, and then I read that it was canceled,
and you're
I was like, oh, never mind,
because obviously,
give it a fucking second to exist. I'm begging. What is the point of making it? It's like they're making them knowing they're going to cancel them for tax write-offs. And
it's also there's the corporatization, the way that these kind of studios conceive of things are a little bit more like how they conceive of how web companies are perceived. I mean, look at Amazon and Apple and stuff like that having the same problem. And one of the problems is that my guess is the programming is decided by multiple entities. There's people who go out and decide, okay, these are the films, these are the artists that we're interested in. Is there a project that we can work with them on, and are they excited about it? There's people who are doing that. And then there's their bosses are the people who are like, well, our agendas are things like we want more action, we want more sci-fi, we want more romance or something like that. And then there's people who decide the programming of what's on the front page and really what is doing well based, and they're working with the algorithm more, and they're getting their information from a robot, which may have very exacting details about how people watch stuff, but also is not as interested in the kind of thing that you were just saying, where it's like, well, just let it live, and it might actually seep into the zeitgeist, because that's how a lot of things work sometimes. Yeah. These people are not making decisions based off that. They're just looking at what's the biggest day to day for this one long week stretch, and what does that tell us about how people are viewing things. I'm not saying that that's not bad. That's bad data or not good data to retrieve. But if you make that the end all be all, you're going to get things like this, where it's like, yeah, no, it's a slower burn Chaos was something that was like, is it going to get like momentum here? Like people kind of like it. People are kind of word of mouth. People are saying it's good. Is that going to give it second and third lives over these next few weeks?
Yeah.
They don't have time for that. So they're like, no, fuck that. So the people who were off in the mines 18 months ago making stuff are out of touch with the people who are determining what the future is based off a snapshot that was taken today. That is a tough business model, but it's one that's done with compartmentalization and the corporatization of studios.
Yeah, for sure. But I am excited for this movie, assuming that it doesn't get buried and I'll see it on the front page.
I mean, you'll be able to see it. It's not going to go away,
I am more excited. I got to say, he has 2 other projects coming up, Timo.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of nuts. One of them, and this is the only situation where remaking this film made me go like, oh yeah, go for it. He's doing the remake of Train to Busan, the American remake, Last Train to New York, where I'm like, yeah, I mean, listen, Train to Busan, we don't really need a remake of that. That was great. But if they
good
were,
guy to choose.
Yep. He's also directing he's tied to at least Nobody 2. And I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Fuck it.
Didn't need Nobody 2, but
But yeah, if you're gonna do it, like that's
like he's got his trajectory. It's great. I'm so happy for him.
I'm scared that they're gonna try to like calm him down a bit. But like I think he'll have room to go nuts.
Yeah, I think there's a place for him.
Speaking of going nuts.
Oh yeah,
Dave,
man.
do you want to take us through this? Because this is here for you.
So this is wild one. I don't know what this decision, what led us to these, what led us here. But here we are, Yakuza Like a Dragon. They're making a TV show. This is also Netflix, correct? Or is this Amazon?
So no, I think it might be Amazon. Let me look.
Yeah. Okay. While you're looking, it's a TV show.
It's Amazon.
So it's the only this Like a Dragon is one of the installments of the Yakuza video game franchise. The only Yakuza that I've actually followed, and it played, and it follows this guy Ichiban, and he wants to be like a hero in the game. Like he has this dreamlike, boy-like imagination, where he imagines he and his friends as knights on an epic journey, and he's wearing armor when he's really just wearing a suit and he works for the Yakuza. So it's this kind of charm that is almost childlike, right?
Right.
It's also an insanely funny like video game. Like the side quests of Yakuza are legendary. You save a crawdad named Nancy at one point.
That's awesome.
And from a suit, and it becomes a legitimate romance. Like you and this crawdad might
What kind of game is it?
It's like it's a JRPG. It's like an RPG, action RPG. The Like a Dragon is specifically like they brought back turn-based combat, but it's usually like you're running around the streets and you're beating the shit out of people as a group. And another great thing about this particular one is it like jumps time. So at certain points for a majority of the game, you and your crew is you and like other 45-year-old dudes just walking around the streets of Japan beating up assholes. But here's the thing: the side quests are the best part of this whole franchise to me, or it's the best part of this game. At one point, you find a clandestine group of baby men, like men who dress like babies and roll around like babies, and that's it. And you summon them later. If you do their quest, you can say like attack babies. What's another one? Oh, you fight like a whole zoo at one point. Like there's a bear, a tiger, a monkey who operates like a crane,
amazing.
Like heavy machinery. Point is, that's the fun of the show. They decided to do the actual plot, which is this like generational and like societal implication.
They're not doing the fun? Like, this isn't listed as comedy. It doesn't look like
the tone
there's no
of
comedy
the show
listed.
seems to be all of the serious parts of, which I immediately was like, skip this cutscene. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Because it got so convoluted and the lore is like, but you didn't know that was actually my mother, and stuff like that. All those twists and shit, like it's inundated with that. And it
sounds
becomes
like,
too much. It becomes a like a Days of Our Lives kind of plot.
right.
But it's got dark themes. I'm sure it'll be there for someone. Like there's a lot of really cool moments, I guess, in the main plot. But the main plot doesn't have charm. It's a very like brutal inspection of what gang life is. And what makes it kind of work is this childlike whimsy of this character who kind of comes in as like, but I'm going to be, the anime character. And it's cute and it's fun and it makes it feel like, oh, it's not just a, run-of-the-mill gangster story.
Right. It sounds like it'd be like making a GTA movie and not including like the chaotic elements or the humor.
Yeah,
as
like
much
the
as I don't like the
radio.
humor, where you're like, yeah, that's part of the game.
Pretty
Though. That's what
edgelord.
people like.
Yeah.
And just making like a serious crime movie, and it's like, well, why even make it?
Yeah, just make a different thing. So I think it's just because it's...
This is a series, so here's what I'll say is maybe if it's successful, or maybe in this season they have plenty of room to do like
to
baby
the
men.
side quests.
Yeah.
I want the baby men. Just give me the baby men.
Just
I want
give
you
us
to
the baby
fight
men.
a monkey who's operating a crane.
Oh, that sounds great.
And you have to like beat the shit out of this monkey.
Yeah, I want
Like
that.
Fall in love with a crawdad. It's great.
All right, I believe you. I'll play it sometime.
Someday.
That's it for trailers.
Hey.
Golly gee, we should thank some more producers. Starting with Chester's Prophet. Thank you. Thank you to Christopher Robert Sparks Esquire. Thank you to Dan Hackroyd. Thank you to David Ruff. Thank you to David Knife Boot Henson. Thank you to Deborah's Awesome. Barbara is great and cancer can go to hell. Thank you to Dracula, the bus driving vampire. Thank you to Driftless. Argento presents Dawn of the Drift. Thank you to Exploding Runes. Thank you to Funky J Mostly Comes Out at Night. Mostly. And thank you to Heathcliff's Helping Handfuls.
Let's thank Highlander. Likes the way that Tom says pretty sweet.
Thank you.
Let's thank Ombre, the last assistant manager of The Last Hollywood Video and The Wasteland.
Thank you.
Let's thank Impossible Worlds. We have your swam and we'll release them for the cost of your subscription. Whoa.
Thank you.
Let's thank Lieutenant Frank Drebin, Police Squad.
Thank you.
Thank you. Look, Mom, on a podcast.
Thank you.
Mackenzie Fuck Shuffling with Willem Dafoe's confusingly large dick chill. Let's thank Mercurial Oz
Thank you.
and Mike the Lurker.
Thank you.
Let's not forget Mongolian Throat Skanking.
Thank you.
And of course, musical guest Rob Ritchie.
Thank you. All right. We don't have to talk about this for too long. We got some news stories. But the internet was all abuzz over the fact that Joker 2 bombed. It has like one of the lowest cinema scores of a superhero or comic book movie. And it flopped. And I didn't see it. I didn't care for the first one. I'm not really here to gloat, but
or like review Joker 2. We haven't seen it.
Right, but I do I think I know what happened based off just hearing stuff. Without spoiling Joker 2, it sounds like Joker 1. Did you watch Joker 1? Did you care for it?
Yeah. I thought it wasn't a good movie. I did think that the reaction to it going like, yeah, fuck Joker was a little bit high octane and not the right take. But it was a fairly mediocre film.
Yeah, I think so. The first one, yeah, it was mediocre in that it sort of just aped older films that it felt like almost like a creative grift. And what I mean by that is it felt like someone going what if I took some older films that comic book people might not have seen, rip them off, and just shove the Joker in it? And then people watch it and go oh my God, it's amazing. And it's yeah, it's amazing because someone else did it already. That's what it felt like to me, a creative grift. But whether or not, we're not here to review Joker either, but it feels like what happened with that movie in particular was that he was trying to make a commentary sort of on the Trump era about how society has screwed people over and created these people who've cultivated this personality around burn it all down, right?
Right.
And I think people just like he attracted, I think, just sort of a fan base who are just like, yeah, I like Joker. Like, I think it just became, people talked about it as being like an incel film. Like, I think I got the Fight Club treatment. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's not on the movie. If anything, it's on the character, but it's on the fans and the people who enjoy that content. Like,
I guess for me, I think it is. I think he didn't do the best job at making that clear. I think like they do kind of portray him heroically.
I don't think that's his job, man. I just disagree.
I just think the reason I point this out is because it sounds like Joker 2. What happened was he went the other way, and Joker 2 is about how Joker is just a guy with mental health issues. He's not heroic. He's not even really the Joker. And like,
right, I saw that story. Like he's not even the fucking Joker.
And so like it sounds like
me.
It was like him. It felt like he got
shucking
mad.
his own audience.
Right. It sounded like he got mad at the audience that he cultivated and made a movie to piss them off. But yeah, my argument is like,
it's kind of funny.
Is it their fault though? Like wouldn't you examine like, oh, why did my first movie do that? You know what I mean?
Do you think that David Fincher making Fight Club and getting a lot of, or De Palma and Scarface, getting a lot of people who are like, I like this because of the immense violence and kind of dissatisfaction with how society treats me, and in both of these cases, usually attracting, white cis males and stuff like that, though they're not the only ones that are on, of this, or the incel take, I guess.
Right.
Do you think that those directors were irresponsible?
No, but I also don't think it's one size fits all. Like
what does that
I
mean?
look at like it's not exclusively the filmmaker's fault or the fans, meaning that like Fight Club, I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty misunderstood film. Then you watch Boondock Saints and you're like, yeah, this film sucks and is toxic.
I see.
What I mean?
No, you're right.
Yeah, like Joker, I think from my memory of it, what felt like kind of a mean-spirited, like it felt like bullying. It felt like it was a movie that was like, we're the underdogs, but it was written from the point of view of a bully. That's what it felt like to me. And I'm not saying that's what it is. I don't want to put that on Todd Phillips because clearly he was mad, it seems, at least at that response, and made Joker 2 specifically to
curb the
undercut it.
Yeah. Which is like a very solipsistic way of making movies, and that I would put at Todd Phillips. Like, you shouldn't have made this then, man. You like, because he made it a musical. He specifically found genres to work in that were like antithetical to what is the typical tastes of his audience. He wanted to do something that was different. Maybe that's your motivation, but it does seem that way. Yeah, I mean, if the movie is really that bad, and it sounds like it is, then yeah, I put it in the Boondock Saints stuff. There's also choices he's making, but as far as like what the first movie was saying and how he gathered the audience, like, I think that that's not on him, because I don't think that he made a move. It's his job to go out of the way to be like, I intentionally don't want these types of people to like my movie. Like, fuck that take.
Whether or not it's his fault or not, I think the phenomenon of Joker 2 is basically like, it's a man making a film for a fan base that he doesn't like.
He despises, yeah.
And so, like, people like me, for example, I didn't like Joker, and so I'm not going to go see Joker 2.
Yeah, you don't matter.
It sounds like he made Joker 2 for people like me.
Yeah, exactly. We're like, funny. This is different. Yeah.
Like, that's what's funny is that, like, when I read Joker 2 synopsis, I was like, oh, this actually, I might like this. But that's what is kind of wild about it, is that it also did the thing that it boggles the mind why studios are doing this right now, which is 2 words, secret musical. Yeah. And it's like, I knew it was a musical, but like, it sounds like most people didn't. and it's not even original songs. It sounds like it's Chicago. It's a
Right.
courtroom musical, and it sounds like it also just wasn't very satisfying. So it's all to say that like he made his first movie cultivated a specific audience, made a second movie that wasn't for those people, and in fact was like offensive to those people.
Right. It's and that's on Todd Phillips, but like it is funny. It's got the energy of like you walk into a forum and you're reading a thread and you like, okay, so I'm getting the information I need to understand the topic that I'm looking into, but then other people start bringing in politics from other threads.
Right.
And like there's a history. Oh, we don't listen to that guy. And you're like, I thought he made some good points. And you're just like, no, that guy sucks.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I didn't know. That totally disassociates you from the initial experience of just going and trying to read a thing on the internet because it's got so much lore involved.
Yeah.
And it like feels like you should never buy into the lore of your own films.
Yeah.
So if there's one thing Todd Phillips should have realized is that if he was to make a movie for the audience that he intended, you should have done Joker 2 first.
I guess, yeah. I guess what it is like Todd Phillips. I've liked some like his previous film. I like Hated. He did the Gigi Allen documentary. I like Due Date. Like his comedies are fun enough. They're probably a bit dated now, but like if in fact it's true that what happened, what I'm theorizing is that he didn't like it. He made a movie. It cultivated a toxic fan base that he didn't like, so he made this, and then he was like forced to make a sequel because I assume DC was like, got to make Joker 2. Man,
no one's forcing anyone to do anything.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, and apparently he had a lot of power over this film. But you know what I mean? Like Joker 1 made all the money,
Right.
so I'm sure the studio was like, we'd love a Joker 2.
Bring it
But
back.
if he indeed made Joker 2 as a way to say, you know what, fuck you guys, and just like drove this thing
If he
into a
did
wall,
that.
then that's great.
I think
don't
it's
know.
hilarious. I think
that's
it's nearly career suicide.
Yeah.
If people get wind of that, but he can always avoid it and say that was never my intention, which is what I would do. But I feel like it's pretty sophomoric to do that in general. Like, why did you do that? Like, you should have just made the movies you want to make, man.
Yeah, I honestly think it was probably more of whoever advertised its fault, because the advertising also put me off because it looked like it felt like, because the first Joker had dancing, right? It had a dance sequence.
Yeah, the stairs.
So they used the dancing in the genuine musical to be like, look, there's dancing on stairs again. And like that put me off immediately because it was like, we're doing the
playing
meme.
the hits.
Yeah.
I mean, sequels, man.
But they didn't say it's a musical, and people watched it and they saw dancing and they assumed like, yeah, like the first Joker. So that's all to say, whoever's decision was, let's hide the fact that it's a musical from people. That's a wild thing to do for this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like that more than anything might have killed this movie. But
Yeah, I don't
again,
know
I
why
haven't
they
seen
did that. I think it's because they knew it was like the decision was made, the movie was made, and then the people marketing the movie were like, "Wait, really? Like that's not good. We should not tell, like that's not going to go well with the audience." And I don't know. That was either intended or not intended. We have no clue, and I doubt we'll ever really get an answer to that because artists are typically wily people
The
who
wily
don't.
little guys.
Yeah, they don't usually say
Little fellas.
exactly their intentions.
This makes me actually want to see Joker 2, by the way. Like, I went
A
from
little
not...
bit. I won't. Yeah.
Yeah, like this is actually enough to make me go like, oh, when this is on streaming, I got to see what this is.
The fact that it's bombing so spectacularly, I think,
so
has to
hated,
deal
yeah.
with like the microcosm or the niche. It's just set its own niche on fire. Like, I think it's probably not as bad, but I have to know: is it? Like
know
there's
what?
still that nagging question.
That's what fascinates me. That's what it is that like when Megalopolis bombed or
Right.
Madam Web bombed, the clips online, you'd watch a clip and go, whoa, that's fucking nuts. Like, oh, the movie itself seems to be out of its mind, right?
Right. Yeah.
I haven't seen anybody post a scene and go like, look at the acting in the scene, or look how bad the editing
like how
is.
bad it is.
Right. It doesn't sound like it's a badly made movie. And
Right.
that's what fascinates me, is like, if this is a well-made movie that was just so angering to like core
I
audiences.
also want to see
that it
how
bombed.
much how much it hates itself, you know, like, because that kind of could be fascinating. I doubt that that's what this is, but like the Joker losing at the end, kind of in a metaphorically, you know, like, and like plot wise, like if that all occurs, that would really piss off the people who thought that he's a secret hero, right?
Yeah, and that's what it sounds.
It sounds like I think that's the big problem here is that he's like, pity this man is what Todd like, which is what we should say about the Joker. It's
exactly.
It's not his fault.
Dude.
It's actually like Christopher Nolan's fault for making the Heath Ledger character so fucking
and
awesome.
Jack Nicholson,
and also our society for, you know, creating this kind of, you know, I don't know. That's much bigger.
Yeah. That okay. Sorry. That's what's fascinating. It's the character, the Joker, and like. Now it makes me hope that Todd Phillips did this all intentionally, because you look remember when the Jared Leto, and I've said this a million times, the Jared Leto Joker, everybody was like, oh, he sucks. Right. I hate that Joker. And I was like, that's why he's a great Joker.
He's great Joker.
Because that's what a Joker would be. You're not supposed to
I hate to look at him, but it's like, it's perfect for the cringe is perfect.
Exactly. He should be a dumb edgelord that isn't like edgy. And like we had this tradition of like Jack Nicholson or Heath Ledger where it's like, ooh, he's so cool, I love him. And so like Todd Phillips basically did another one of those with Joker. He did like make a, and if he always intended to do like, okay, first movie, look how cool he is, and second movie undercutting that, trying to tell people like, we got to stop doing this with this character.
Philosophy is, because it would be a perfect 1-2 punch. It would be like the philosophy that he has, which is kind of nihilism, is sexy and makes you want to kind of look at it, especially in today's society where everything feels crazy. But then to say in the second step, but that philosophy doesn't hold water. You can't live a life. Society can't function if you are just a bunch of that type of person who like thrives on chaos. So if that was his statement, which could perfectly may well be, that's actually that's a pretty good, that's a good thing to do with the sequel, in my opinion. And it only kind of works for like the Joker and a few anti-hero characters.
That would be cool if it's intentional, but like I would also argue you could do that in one movie, and maybe it's better to do it in one movie. And so like this
Dune is taking.
You're right. But this might be course correcting, you know what I mean? Where it's like, if you did a single movie analyzing the Joker, you'd want to kind of have that full arc in the movie. Yeah. And I do think the first movie really it's
celebrates
very light on that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a strange one, because I also think that the audience, while not my cup of tea, you know, like they are probably intelligent enough for the most part to understand that's what would be happening. Were that to be the truth, and I haven't heard that take on the online yet. Right,
because like I have heard like the worst fans being like, there was no action, they made the Joker lame, and there was singing, and I hate Lady Gaga, like that stuff.
Yeah,
but like there's also a possibility again that the movie is just genuinely bad. Like like that's the thing, is like maybe someone listening is like, no, it's just a bad movie.
I have yet to hear someone come to its defense, which usually there is some of that, even when it's bad. So that means it might be really, really bad.
Right. And that would be incredible for a different reason.
And I will watch that probably as well.
Yeah. Michael Bay is making another film with Will Smith.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
Is it
It's called Fast and Loose. It's coming on Netflix.
I was hoping so bad that it was Skibbity Toilet.
That would have been amazing. It's about a crime boss who has amnesia.
Sure.
Listen, the worst. I mean, Michael Bay he's. I'm trying to think of the last thing he made that I actually enjoyed, because honestly,
like Ambulance.
I didn't see that one, so maybe I'll see that one.
No, it's okay.
Is it bad? I didn't get through. So 6 Underground. I think I got through maybe 20 minutes of it, because his movie, he got so. It really comes down to his visual style getting so ramped up that I literally can't follow his movies, or my brain stops wanting to.
Yeah, they feel like a fever dream sometimes these days.
Yeah.
Because it's like as quickly as possible get to the set pieces. That's what he has learned after these decades of films. And in some ways, he's not wrong, but in a lot of ways, that's why I only allow it to be like, Michael Bay can do that because he's crazy.
Yeah.
No, please, no one else take this hint. This is not wisdom.
No, he kind of Lucased himself. And what I mean by that is it feels like
Right.
he's less energetic in his movies. They feel more like they're CGI heavy, where it's like you watch The Rock and you're like,
Yeah, you're
this is
right.
bombastic, but he's doing the things. That's what makes him special, is like it's the combination of practical stunts plus like the insane pacing, where it's like then you get to the last Transformers and you're like, this is just gibberish.
Yeah,
On the screen, it's just cartoon gibberish.
because there's
and
often no plot that really matters. It's just we're waiting
Right.
to get to the part in the script where the bad guy succeeds, and then we have to rally the troops, and then we're gonna beat the bad robot. So it's the basic shit. It's gonna be fine if that's like if you want to just. To me, at my age at this point, the only reason that I'd ever watch another Michael Bay new movie is for some reason I want to forget all of my problems and just get the highest I've ever been,
Yeah.
and just sit there with the biggest a garbage bag of popcorn until I shit myself canola oil.
Yep. That sounds great. That sounds like a night.
Like just terrible shits.
I think
after.
honestly, I think Will Smith might be good for him. It's weird to say because I'm like, I also feel like his movies recently have lacked a certain amount of like charisma in the actors, but that's not really the actor's fault. Like fucking Jake Gyllenhaal has charisma. Ryan Deadpool
Reynolds.
he has charisma, but maybe it takes a certain special sauce.
No, it's because
do
they don't
that
want to
with.
embrace like the brands of these people. Like
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal is uniquely tortured. Ryan Reynolds is, catty and, smooth. None of these are things that describe Michael Bay characters.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I wonder if as Michael Bay ages, like it really does feel like his movies, his older movies, obviously filled with stereotypes and problems. Like it feels like the Transformers got really bad. And I wonder if these actors are like just having less fun on his sets because he's really hard on actors. Like
Right.
he loves to abuse them. And then it's like that combined with like, okay, so in this scene, this flamboyantly gay man is coming in and you're going to say like 6 things about how he's gay. Can you do that? And they're
can you
just
do
like,
that?
no.
All right, just 2 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing, because all of his characters, and this is why Will Smith works with Michael Bay, is that I love to look at The Rock. Because you have Sean Connery.
He's so muscly.
Yeah. No. Sean Connery he's just absolutely straight, and he's the old guard, and he's like classic badass superhero. That's who Will Smith is. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, granted, he's done his Men in Blacks, but like, if you look at Bad Boys, like the archetype is that he's the straight man who's the badass, and then Michael Bay's other function is then there's this zany chaos and crazy that is perfectly chosen in Martin Lawrence and then in The Rock,
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage, and that's why those are the most memorable movies he's ever made. That's because the concoction that Michael Bay is like this, it needs to be this,
Yeah.
actually works, and
He's
it
made
kind of works in Armageddon as well. Although Armageddon just has like a chorus of people, so it's mayhem from the beginning.
Bayham. It's Bayham.
Bayhem.
He's made some of the best action films for sure. So it's like part of me is just like, I don't know, after it doesn't really matter anymore. Like he's paid his dues to the action gods, but I want him to slow down a little. I want him, like, as a director, I'm like, I bet you still have another amazing action film, and you just gotta calm the fuck down, man. Like, just take your time.
It's not
with
the
these.
lesson that he ever learned, though. He's the guy in Crank. He's Jason Statham in Crank, and always
it's faster
has
and faster and faster.
Like, he has never succeeded once in his life by slowing down. Why would he start now?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Just scream your way into senility.
Has he made a drama? Because I would love for him to shoot a drama the way he shoots everything. Like it's a drama, but it's just that
like
camera
militaristic
spinning
drums.
around, fast cuts, like just insanity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be great.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's ever put his, like, all right, I'm going to think outside the box for me. I don't think he's that type of guy.
No, he's a simple man with simple wants.
I think that's the key to happiness.
Yeah. Well, let's thank some more producers then.
All right.
I think we got to the bottom of that.
Yeah, we did.
Big old thank you to Norm from Cheers. Thank you to Numino Ultra Microscopic Silico Volcano Coniosis Anti-Disestablishmentarianism Jones. Thank you. Thank you to Psychic Bigfoot. Thank you to Pumpkin Spiced Egg Eggnog. Thank you. Thank you to Rev MD. Thank you to Ricky Cilantro. Thank you to Robert. Thank you to Rosemary's Baby from Eraserhead. Thank you to Screaming Horse Pyramid. Thank you to Sorry Cop, World's Most Laughable Centrist. Thank you to Steven. And thank you to the conveniently placed self-destruct button on the top of every baby's head. Thank you.
The Midnight Spookum. What spookums at midnight?
Thank you.
Thank you, the Municipal Medicinal Arsonist.
Thank you.
Thank you, the Oatmeal Savage.
Thank you.
Let's thank the To Be Terror Bunny thinks you could use more Rutger Hauer in your media diet.
Thank you.
And let's thank these 7 bees.
Thank you.
Let's thank Tiger Draws, Pratt Thompson. Raindrops keep falling on my head.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not forget Tip Drizzle.
Thank you.
Let's thank Tom's Baby.
Thank you.
Let's thank Tux.
Tux.
Thank you, Vincent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yorgos from the island of Crete.
Thank you.
And let's not forget, of course, your mom.
Thank you. We did it.
Okay.
It's over.
Dave, I have been told to ask you the following question.
Do the thing. Just do it. Do the bit.
Do you have a movie that deserves more hype?
I do.
Yeah, you give it to me.
I've been waiting for this one for a while. By the way, that the Shadow Strays movie is coming out this month. But this is also a movie that's coming out this month. I had been hearing about this coming out soon, and it was like
18th.
I was like, yeah, this is coming out October 18th. I was like, it was like playing chicken, where I was like, Shudder, are you gonna release a fucking trailer? And they finally did. This is coming out October 18th on Shudder. It's called Mads, one of the harder movies to Google, because if you do Mads, it'll be like, what, Mother Against Drunk Driving? And then you're like, no, Mads Film. And they're like, Mads Mikkelsen. Yeah, we love him.
Yeah,
but this is called
Hannibal.
Mads. It's pretty straightforward. It is a zombie-esque apocalypse film. Not exactly zombies. I think it might have to do with like the premise is that it's a guy's night and they're on drugs and there's some sort of zombie like apocalypse, and he's trying to figure out if it's the drugs or the zombies, maybe both. The hook of this movie is that it's all done as if it's one shot. So it's the 1917 of zombie movies.
It's the rope.
Yep. It is the idea of like this all happening in real time, a single shot. It is, at least as one review indicates, it is actually a series of shots stitched together because that's how people do it these days. Nobody wants to be Russian Ark, which makes me sad, but whatever. And that's kind of it. It just looks like it's very high energy zombie. It's very like gory, as you can see from the trailer. It's apparently at times actually somber and actually like more of an actual like zombie movie, more of a horror rather, but it also has a lot of fun stuff in it. It's apparently kind of funny and darkly funny. Most of the reviews, it's gotten mostly good reviews, and the reviews seem to say that like the Oner vibe keeps the energy and confusion of a zombie apocalypse there, right? It's like Cloverfield, where it's like this larger thing happening from this smaller, intimate perspective. People did say that like it does. Some people said that like it doesn't say a lot, like it doesn't explain a lot for that reason, but it never lets up is the idea.
Yeah, you gather the idea basically from the trailer that they give you is that someone or something has put some kind of compound in drugs.
Yeah.
You know, like fentanyl kind of, doping of other drugs. So this party culture of which our protagonists are a part of, snort this red shit,
right.
And then it makes them slowly turn into zombie-like creatures who
zombie cocaine
flail around on the ground. Have at one point they have the cat eyes from 2001.
Yeah,
where it's reflective. So it's a lot of accosting visual imagery of zombie-esque, and you do see people gnawing it onto flesh, but it also just seems like a road movie where people are just escaping this kind of thing, or they're in transition to zombie and we see their kind of existential moments. It's that type of thing. It's more 28 Days Later than, a Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like traditional zombie shit. It's more surreal than that. It's more, chaotic, which,
right.
Is important to note because, besides the oneer, even if this wasn't a oneer, I think their take on the zombie stuff looks unique in a way that kind of, it's really hard to make a zombie movie these days because we've made them all. We're done making zombie movies. And so it's very rare for me to see a zombie movie and go well, that's a cool take. I think the last one was Handling of the Undead. That's I think Swedish. And it's the idea is the zombies aren't attacking people. It's just the brutal concept of what if your loved ones were alive again and they were half with it. And it was do you take care of them? It felt like it was that was that premise.
Right.
So this is going the other way where it's it's this ultraviolet violent zombie thing, but it just feels very stylized and unique and fun. It is from the director of the Jessica Alba remake of The Eye, which wasn't bad. I actually watched that fairly recently. I just don't know why that movie existed, but they've also made other things. They made what was it? I'll have to look it up later. They made good movies. Them, that's the one. Thank you. Yeah, that one is apparently very good. So yeah, this is coming out on Shudder. It's a perfect Halloween watch 'em up. You watch it.
And it looks like there's a lot of technical precision in this. The oneer is really tough to accomplish, even if you're, taking paginated takes and, seaming them together kind of thing. But one of the things is the hardest thing that you don't think about when you're making something like that, because I've done this exact type thing, and it's is the momentum, is the speed of the film, the look of the film, your backgrounds, the color of the film, even color grading can only go so far. Does it all feel consistent and a part of this world? Your darkness levels, your contrast levels, all these things you can control when you sit down and you're here's this shot. You can control it to such an extent that you can make it consistent over a film.
But right.
When you're doing moving around roving takes of this handheld stuff and you want it to be picturesque, you don't want it just to look like handheld home movie crap. You have to be so specific and deliberate about where your shadows are, what you can and can't see, what the color of the wall is. All this stuff has to be dialed in before you even roll.
Yeah, you're right.
And you have to sustain it in a single take for 10 minutes or whatever it is. That's tough. That's fucking tough.
It's also from an editing perspective, usually with movies, you can watch a scene and go let's speed up the pacing. We want this more intense. Let's speed it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. Or let's correct the colors in this one shot or something. Yeah, you can't really, you can't speed up the pacing.
You don't have as many opportunities. Not to say it isn't possible. You can slowly fade into a color or something like that, and it's barely noticeable, and people never think about it. But there's so much that you're limiting yourself that is given to most movies, where just by the frankness of a cut, the simplicity of that fact that it's going to happen every 1.2 seconds or whatever, you can hide all of the mistakes. They are not allowed that luxury.
Yeah. So I mean, this if you're like a film pervert, this is probably fun for that.
Yeah, for
if you're
perverts.
a zombie pervert, or if you're just a horror pervert, Shudder, Mads. Google that. Mads Shudder.
Hype for the perverts. Pervert hype.
Pervert hype. Abe, thank you so
Dave.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Abe, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to plug something? Also, thanks.
Patreon.com/smallbeans. Thank you.
Thank you. Patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed or gamefullyunemployed.com. We have a store. We have t-shirts and stuff. You should check that out. Or I never say this. Give us a review wherever you get your podcasts. Review. Hit that like and subscribe. And thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Say goodbye.
Thank you.
Hey, listen, our music is produced by Chris Corlew. You can find him on twitter.com as The Corlew, or go to shipwreckedsailor.bandcamp.com. Our channel artwork is produced by Michael Vincent Bramley. For more of his work, go to mvbramley.art. Our episode artwork is by Justin Brown, available on Twitter as Justin T. Brown or at artistbyjustinbrown.com. And finally, additional artwork is by Starlene Hodge. You can find her work at starlenearts.com or on Twitter as StarleneX. Cool. Goodbye.